everyone, and welcome to Groove Builders, the show where we create together. I'm your host, Disorderly Cone, and in this episode, we're going to be building the Metal Earth C3PO. And as you can imagine, R2's been dying to build this for quite some time, and he's downstairs already making the appropriate combinations for our friend a little bit later. Now, Groove Builders, this is our 60th episode, so I thought we would do things a little bit differently. Let's get down to the workbench and take a look at the Metal Earth C3PO.
Groove Builders, welcome to the workbench. We have our Metal Earth Star Wars C3PO in some pretty cool Force Awakens packaging. Let's go ahead and take a look at the back. On the back, we have our C3PO followed by a QR code which we can scan to get a 360 view of our model if we need it while we're building. Then just to the right, we have some instructions on how to build our model, and finally, on the bottom, we get a glance at some other models in the series. Groove Builders, let's not waste any more time and open up our package. We have our instructions, looks like 2 pages, and we have our metal. And look at this. You know, Groovers, it's been a while since we've built a model completely out of this kind of metal. I'm really interested to see how this is going to come together. Let's not waste any more time and get building. Alrighty, Groovers, with our parts all cut out, it's time for us to start forming our pieces. And the first thing we're going to be doing when it comes to C3PO is forming his feet. Now, one thing I've been reading a lot about when it comes to building C3PO is that you spend a lot of time on his whole leg assembly, which, after looking at the instructions, I believe. All on the back here. Now, you'll notice what I'm doing is I'm actually pulling the metal down and then putting it into the slot. Now, these tabs. Now, I've been using that really cool tab tool lately. Let me see if I can find it real quickly. The really cool tab bending tool. Now, this is actually really neat because what it allows me to do is get right up close to that tab in the back here, for instance, like right close into it, and then just a little bit, and then push it down. Awesome. Cool. There's our foot all done. Now we're going to go ahead and move on to this piece right here, which is all about forming a very unique shape of the foot. Now I'm actually going to use this piece here to kind of help me reference how I'm going to do that, bending it a little bit with our fingers. So we get a nice little kind of rounded shape. I'm going to try to get to zoom in here a little bit. See, I was already getting a hot spot right here in the metal. So what I want to do is avoid that, and I'm just going to work my metal a little bit more. And what we're going to do with this is we're actually going to bend this in. That is brutal, man. Holy crow. Okay, you know what we're going to do? I'm going to get a little bit more aggressive with this bend. The hard part is, of course, manhandling the piece without breaking it. Press! And there we go. We've secured that back tab. Now our foot looks pretty good, so let's go ahead and add it on to the back here. Now, oh, you don't like that? You don't like that spot? Let me give you a little bit of a push, huh? Yeah? There we go. See, you can fight me, or you can just do what I want you to do. And awesome. There we go. I may have to work on that one a little bit later, but let's go ahead and move on to the next part, which is forming our leg. And what we're going to do is we're going to use a tool here to help us get this shape. Let's see what happens. Wow. Ooh, look how pretty that looks. A little sharp right here, so let's go ahead and fix that out by just tapping our tweezers like this. Yeah, there we go. I like that. I like that shape. Okay, so now this should be connected right into our foot. Oh, well, that was easy. See, if you form everything kind of correctly, sometimes you can get away with doing certain parts first. Look at that. I like our first little foot here is coming along pretty nice. Let's move on to the next step of adding these little bits of detail, which we're going to use our tweezers for. Fold that down. Cool. Now I think we just add these onto our leg on either side. Come on, just get in the hole, man. You know you want to be in there. You know you want to be in there. There we go. Ha. Win for me, which is a win for everybody. Right, R2? There's our foot all done. Now let's move on to the next stage. Pretty easy to do when you got these little dome wrapping tools. Get that guy all secured in there. Cool. Our 2 rings all formed and ready to go. Now let's connect them together to these little plates right here. And there we go here. Our 2 pieces are nice and formed. Now we're going to connect them together using this big piece right here, this long number 8 piece. Excelente. There we go. Nice little circular shape. Grabbing that little tab, bending it down. Fantastic. Now it comes to connecting these two different pieces together, making sure that we use the upper loops this time. So there's the one. Let's tie this up a little bit. There's our joint all complete. Now we're going to go ahead and put the shroud over top of that with this piece right here. Using our bigger tool again here. And then we're going to use this piece right here to help us get the rest of it. Secure that with a nice little bend there. All right, the little piece is facing down. Now we got to put the shroud over top. Boom goes the dynamite. Love it. That's so much easier than I was anticipating. All right, let's secure these tabs with a nice fold over as well. Very nice. Now let's move on to the next step, which is us forming this little bit of detail and adding it to the joint down here. Just grab these little tabs right here and bend them down. With this little piece here facing down, we're going to go ahead and add our pieces together. Not too much pressure, just enough to make a difference. Boom. Nice and secured. Now we're going to add this over top of here. Third tab, fourth tab. Oh, groovers, that was silky smooth, and I don't think we're going to encounter that again, but that was silky smooth. Very nice, groovers. Looking very good so far. Let's go ahead and finish up with our leg by doing the upper part here. So you don't want to necessarily do this all at once, and you want to make sure you don't get any hot spots either. So we're going to use a collection of tools to try to get this very nicely done. There we go. Looking very nice. Again, we have that little bit of a sharp curve here, which we can try to get out with our tweezers or a really good set of needle nose pliers. Got that nice shape there. Come on now, get in there. This is a trickier piece to get in, that's for sure. Now, let's move on to that next part here. It's okay if you bend that little piece of detail on the outside. We will bend it back once our pieces are in. What I am doing, you may not notice this, I'm actually putting a lot of pressure here on my thumbs so that it helps me kind of make this more of a circular shape. And that is helping me get it into its tab area. So you might see me push a little bit harder. Really gotta push these tabs here. There we go. I think we secured them. Very good. All right, groovers, let's add the top part here, and we'll be done with our first part of this leg. Come on, you can do it. Did I get it in? I did it. I got her in. That was not an easy tab. That is not an easy step at all. That is not your friend. I will tell you right now, that is not a fun step. That right there is not a fun step at all. That is not cool. I will remember that step for a while. That is not a fun step, man. And now that we've got this one leg complete, we're gonna do another one, but they are exactly the same in building, so I'm gonna go ahead and just fast forward this whole section in quick time for you. Little more pressure right there, and we are done. That's our two legs. Now we need to move on to our midsection. Okay, with our two parts cut out, now we can start forming them. And I know I said midsection, but this is more like underwear that we're kind of forming with this right here. We're just gonna bend these tabs down and flush. Now I know our underwear looks a little bit flat, but we're gonna go ahead and expand that out by squeezing the sides just like this. And then we can go back and tidy them up, making them not as harsh as they were before. I'm sure there's people out there that actually have a pair of C3PO underwear. I was never one of those dudes. All right, I'm pretty satisfied with how this looks. Let's go ahead and start attaching our legs by putting these little tabs here out. Okay, so we have to actually twist this tab here first. Like that. There we go. And then we secure the upper part of the leg here. And we're going to... There we go! We got it! Now we're going to fold this down. Awesome. Looking awesome, groovers. His legs are a little bit more spread apart than I would like, but not bad, not bad. Now we got to connect this to our base here, which I'm going to wait to fold the tabs down until after I'm done connecting it. I'm going to go ahead and attach that foot. I feel like it's going to be a little bit harder to get the other ones. Also, when you're twisting your tabs, sometimes it's a good idea to alternate the way you twist them. That way they don't kind of all sway the same way. Now I know you guys can't see or feel the tension here, but pushing these two legs together causes a lot of tension. Just note you may have an issue there if your tabs aren't really tight. Bending all these little tabs down, C3PO's legs and stand, looking really sharp. Now let's move on to the arms. And voila, all of our pieces for our arm. Let's go ahead and start by grabbing this piece right here and bending it in a nice cone shape. Let's go ahead and start to get this shape. I'm actually going to use the part down here to do that. Just like this. Now we're going to go to a little bit of a smaller piece here. It's good. Okay, we got good shape there. Now, before I go any further, I'm actually going to attach this little piece of detail right here. And the reason for that is because if you're trying to put this piece of detail on first and make that shape, this nice curve shape, you're not going to get a very good shaping because these little tabs here are going to get in the way of that tool, making a nice seal. I'm actually going to bend this right out of the way. Oh, there we go. We got her in. Whew, I really bent this one. Okay. All right, this guy's all nice and formed up now. Let's go ahead and move on to the upper part of the arm here. And we're going to use those same tools to get that really nice shape again. So let's see if we can just kind of, again, we're trying to get that really nice cylindrical look. And we're just going to use our tweezers to do that. Sometimes, again, if you can't get that nice cylindrical look using the tweezers, just use those needle nose pliers, and that should be able to help you get that nice cylinder. That's pretty good. I like that. So let's continue on. Okay, now we're just going to add these pieces in here, but we're going to have to bend these out in order to do that. Putting the inside piece in first, and then going from there. Ooh, this is going to be difficult. Okay, cool. Now we can move on to our hand. Now the very important part of this part here is to make sure that you put the hand with the non-engraved part out. And do a little twist. Nope, not working. There we go. Do a twist. Sweet. Making a nice little hand. I maybe should have actually formed all of these down first before doing that. I was actually kind of worried about how this hand was going to look. This model to me always looked a little bit skimpish around the hands. But I think it's kind of hard to make hands in reality when it comes to metal models. All right, now we're going to take part 28 here, which is the one that says small a. And then we're going to attach it to our arm. And last one, really nice and tight. Cool, now that is really looking good. We're going to need to form a nice cylinder. Not like we've done this a few times in this build already. Should be getting pro at this point. Don't want any gaps between any of your pieces, because that will leave unsightly gap lines at the very end of your model, and that's not good. Not good at all. I want to make sure I'm doing this exactly right. You guys will see me a lot. I double check my instructions quite often. And when you're building on a camera and when you're actually doing it in person, it's a lot easier when you're building these off camera. I'm not going to lie. Like right now, I'm really trying to make sure these tabs are going in the hole, but I'm holding it very far away from my face. Yeah, there we go. Looking pretty good. Move on to this last little part here for our arm. And this one we're going to have to form into a nice kind of cylindrical shape as well. So we're going to go back to our tools here. I'm going to use my green one for this one. Making sure that our A is facing up, we're going to go ahead and insert these tabs around. These tabs might get in the way, and I might have to fold them in a little bit, because sometimes when you twist tabs, they actually go out. So if I take these like this and just bend them in a little bit, being very careful not to snap them. I'm going to have to use my persuasion tools here to help me out here. Persuaders, grab these tabs and put them in their holes. Now again, if those tabs on the inside are getting in your way, bend them more in, and that will make your life so much easier. Now, let's go take that out of the way here. Take this out of the way here. It's time to connect these two guys together. Boom. And yeah, there we go. All secured in place. Fantastic. Great. And that is our arm complete. Our first arm complete. Now, I'm going to go ahead and repeat this process for the other arm, but you guys are going to see that it's going to be a lot quicker of a process. Ready? 1, 2, 3. There we go. Just like that, we have our two arms. And that was a probably horrible transition, but hey, we have our two arms now, so we can go ahead and move on to our main body, which requires more parts. So let's get our cutters. Snippity snip, snip, snip. There we go. And boom, there we go. Our midsection is all cut out. There's some small pieces here, but we're gonna worry about them in a minute. At first thing we're gonna do is go ahead and form this. And what we're gonna do is use our green piece over here to get started with that, like this. Boom. Now we don't really want to go all the way around. We're just getting a nice little shape like this. We can work with this shape as we go. I might have to make it a little bit thicker or thinner, depending. We'll see as we go. Sometimes these smaller tabs can be a little bit hard to grab. I don't know why I'm shaking so much, but I am shaking. And it says to kind of fold them back like this on either side. So I'm going to do that. And then do this again on this side, like that. There. I try to make that as equal as possible so you get that nice little breastplate. See? Pretty cool. Now with that piece kind of shaped the way I like it, I think it's now time to shape this guy. And what I'm doing is I'm using my fingers to kind of, again, get that nice shape. We don't want any hot spots, and it's very easy to get them. See, I almost got them right here. Be very careful. I'm gonna go ahead and hide these tabs. I was trying not to hide a lot of my tabs. I was gonna do it the way that most people should do it, but you build any way you want to, groovers. I'm just saying, sometimes hiding tabs is a little bit of a pain in the butt for people because the metal can overlap, and that means that some of your pieces then won't line up properly. You see there's a space already developing there. Not too bad. We'll see. That might affect us a little. Oh, careful. Oh, I put too much pressure on the one side. I gotta be a little bit more careful with that. Okay. Now we need this little tiny piece of detail that you probably can barely see on the camera, if at all. And that's this little guy right here. We're gonna grab him right at the tabs and we're gonna bend them down like this. Kind of reminds me of those little pizza trays you get. Not the pizza trays, what are they called? The little pizza tables inside the pizza boxes. This would be kind of nice to have magnetic tweezers at this point because they won't, if you drop your pieces, you don't lose them somewhere. Come on. Yeah, there we go. Excellent. That was a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. Now we got to secure these tabs in here. There. All nice and secure. Now let's move on to this little box over here. Okay. Now right back to this part here. Same thing. Actually, you know what? First, we're going to go ahead and attach these parts together, making sure, again, these are all matching up. You want to make sure all these seams are really nice and flush. Excellent. Now with that formed, we can go ahead and move on to our next step, which is securing our body parts. So let's go ahead and do that too. And we're going to connect the back, and then we're going to connect the front. Again, being very careful not to accidentally bend or scratch the metal, on the back. Be very careful not to scratch any of your metal. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to secure these tabs in here first. Come on. Come on. Great success. Awesome. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and secure these tabs before they fall out, and then we can move on to the next step. Come on. Man, the blur is real here. Okay, so then this backpack goes on like this. Last one being a little pesky. Excellent. Now our backpack is secured. All right, very nice. That looks pretty good. I think we can go ahead now and move on to attaching our arms on. So with that, I think we take this one with the thumb, and it goes on this side. Oh, that backing. See, this is what I meant by we're going to have to form that back as we go. Squeeze just a little. Not too much. Aha, there we go. We got her in. Excellent. So now that's all there. Now these are supposed to be secured with a nice twist. I do need my persuader to grab the tab and just pop it out a little bit. There we go. Can I get it? I don't even need the persuader. I got her. Boom. And the same thing with this side. I'm going to try to get a tool in here to help me out. You know what? I think this will be a good tool to help me right here. Boom goes dynamite. Get this guy in here. A little bigger. Yeah. And again, we're going to just curve these tools. Now that looks pretty good. Again, woo, listen to that ding. Okay, this looks pretty good. Now we need to go and get the lower torso done, but we're going to need more parts for that. And there we go, all of our pieces needed for our next few steps. Now I did try to mod this a little bit by adding some color to it. It really didn't turn out too well, but I'm going to go ahead and work with it and see how it looks in the end. But right now, I really just can't recommend painting the metal with your average paint. You really do need to use spray paint for it to look nice. Now let's go ahead and form this piece right here. And the first thing we're going to do is form either side down like this. And then we're going to round these pieces. So the way we're going to do that is by making small little bends all the way around and using the seam there to kind of guide our bends. So again, from this angle right here, we're just gonna do small little bends all the way around till they connect. And we're gonna do the same thing with the other side. We're gonna grab it, make sure it's nice and flush, and then again, work little bends. Then we're gonna grab that little tab, and we're gonna fold it back on itself. That looks really nice. Okay. That's this part all finished up now. Move on to this body part right here. Now this part we're gonna have to do a full cylinder on, so we're gonna need another piece to help us out with that, and that's gonna be this guy right here. Maybe not. We have to go a little bit bigger. I should have used my chart, and that would have helped me. Nice little round edge there. Again, taking these and bending them over themselves. Okay, with our piece all formed up now and ready to go, we can move on to the next section, which is forming our head, which is going to require even more parts. Oh, I'm going to cut my gloves up if I'm not careful. And these are our final pieces for C3PO. Now what we're going to need to do is form the head, starting with the eyes, which is very simple. We want to go ahead and bend this piece back right here. Just doing 90-degree bends on either side. And we're going to go ahead and attach it to the head, making sure that we're attaching it to the side that has the engraving mark on it. Really need to ask Timothy for some more coffee here. I'm kind of running a little low. Excellent. Very cool. Now, this is the head. And to be totally honest with you, I was a little bit worried about how we're going to form this because it's a very unique shape. And if you ask me, out of the entire model, I feel like this is the part where you can really mess this one up. So I'm going to go slowly, and I'm going to try to match all of these seams around the edges. So let's go ahead and do that a little bit. Starting off with this one right down here, we're gonna bend like this, and then I'm going to work off this one here. Again, really trying not to create any hot spots in the metal. I'm liking it. I'm liking the style. I'm liking how it looks. But I think it's time to go ahead and attach it, and this should help us get that final shape that we really want to have. Don't connect these to the outside. The outside is reserved for the back side of the face. This is not being my friend. I'm really having to place basically every single tab into its respected insertion hole. That was not easy. That was tricky, and getting that right shaping, that was not easy at all. That was probably the most difficult part for me out of this entire model right there. I did get through it, so there you go. But at the same time, I would say that the legs were pretty simple. This head, getting the tabs into there, that was a struggle. Now we can go ahead with the back part, which is formed very similar, and these ones are actually all going to be attached on the outside, like I said earlier, on these tabs. So let's go ahead and start attaching them in. Again, groovers, really make sure that we are securing these tabs in alternating fashion. This will make sure that the head is really in place and it's not going to go anywhere. Now, what I think is really interesting about C3PO's model is they actually give you two options for the head. Now, I'm not going to put the droid head on here, but the battle droid head on here. I do think that Metal Earth needs to release a battle droid model because they don't have one, which I think is silly, especially when they already have the head design. All right, there we go. There's C3PO's head. Now it's got to design his neck here. Okay. Then, of course, looking at this here again, we're going to just go around the circle and make sure that this goes into every tab surface. Okay, now that we got our neck formed here, which was pretty simple to do, we're going to go ahead and put our head on. I probably said that way too many times this episode. That's a formation thing. Ow! Oh! That went right into my skin. Whoa, that hurt. Okay, ouchie. Now C3PO's head's giving me a little bit of an injury. We're gonna go ahead and secure this tab. Man, that hurt. Okay, cool. There's C3PO's head, all formed and ready to go onto the neck. And the key part to this is really making sure that all of our tabs make it into their insertion holes. If you pre-bend some of your tabs, it will make it a lot easier, like I've said before. But if not, use your persuasion tools, and you can just feed the tabs right in, like so. Now we gotta connect it to our shoulders here, and this will get harder as we go because of how these tabs are done. So I won't be surprised if I have a little bit of an issue getting these ones in. Now, a smarter version of Disorderly Cone would be actually doing this on the back, so that if you made any mistakes, you wouldn't notice it. Oh, that was fantastic. That was the best noise ever, Groovers. Now I can go on the inside and secure these tabs, again, with some more twists, being very careful not to pop them out of their places. I can't believe that went in so easily. Cool. C3PO is really coming along. Now we just need to attach this midsection here into our legs, and then we'll attach the upper area here. Oh, you know what? It doesn't look that bad. It's a little more greasy than I thought it would look, but hey, I'm actually kind of happy with that. Now these get secured with a nice little twist too. So let's go ahead and do that. That looks great. Now we're gonna go ahead and connect our upper portion here, just so they're really nice and secure. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna actually try to puff. Okay, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna puff out this inner side body here with this tool, and I'm gonna be a little barbaric with it. Yeah, I'm being a little bit rough with that. Now, if my theory is correct, come on, just a little more pressure, and you can pop that right in socket. Come on. What happens if I put a little pressure like this? Can I get you? Ooh, did I get it? Yes, I did. And one more. Ah, cool. Now let's just fatten you up a little bit here, C3PO. I'm actually really happy with that. C3PO looks pretty cool. What do you guys think? All right, now I've already completed C3PO, but let's go ahead and build this little droid head too. I don't like how wiggly that is, but I think it's only wiggly because of my connections right here in the center. Interesting. Now our droid head is pretty simple to complete. The first thing we're gonna do is make sure we get a nice little droid head, so let's get that done. I'm going to use the purple tool. A little rough to have done that, but oh well. Okay, good. Lined up, real nice and pretty. Starting like a little droid head there if you ask me. Now we're gonna connect our stand here at the bottom, which is very simple. You wanna take these little tabs here and grabbing just by the fold line, which is again kind of tricky. If you're not careful, you'll bend that center piece. This is the stand for the head. Now, we're not actually mounting ours onto C3PO, as I said before, so you really don't need to complete this if you don't want to, but I think it's a cool little extra they decided to include with this model, so to not build it would be a shame. There we go. Excellent. Now, these pieces here are kind of tricky. Where we're going to do that is we're going to use this little yellow piece here, which I think is the better one to use according to Code Wookiee's diagram here. I'll put a link in the description to that diagram if you're interested in seeing that. And also a link to these tools and where you can pick them up if you're interested. And what I'm going to go ahead and do is bend these tabs a little bit in. And that should make it a lot easier for us to attach this piece. Excellent. That looks pretty good. Now what we have to do is make two solid tubes on either side. And I'm not going to lie, this is kind of hard, but I'm going to use my tweezers here, and I'm going to slowly start bending it into formation. Now, I could use one of my mandrels to do this correctly, which is a good idea. And I might use it to help me at the very end to get a nice finish. But I'm pretty confident that if I use enough bends and I don't create a hot spot, I should be able to get a nice looking cylinder. Wow, this one's not turning out as good as the other one did, but I can fix it by, of course, again, using the piece itself to help me form it out. That will help. And I'm gonna do the same thing at the top here because that did not form the way I wanted to on the second time. I tried, but I really should be using a tool. Oh, whoa, careful. That was a little bit hard. Whoa, man, relax. Excellent. Now I can, after securing both sides of these ears, if you will, just like that, we now have a pretty good looking little head here. Now we're gonna go ahead and secure the last part here, which is our nose. Our mouth, if you will. Actually, it's not a nose, silly me. Kind of like a nose, almost like a duck build. One last little push on this tab right here. There we go. We're all finished up with our droid head, which means C3PO is finally complete. Wow, look at him. Let's talk about it a little bit more on the outside.
We did it, Groovers! We built C3PO, and look at him! He looks really good. I'm very impressed with how everything kind of turned out. I was really worried about the head, and of course how these legs were going to form, but at the very end of the day, I think we did a really good job. Let's talk about some of the things you might want to know if you're looking to build C3PO in construction. My first point is about these notorious legs on C3PO. Yes, they can be a little bit difficult, especially if you don't have the proper tools. The key thing to remember is just to go slow and follow all those bend marks. At the very end, when you connect the piece together, make sure to round it out like I did with my tweezers. You'll be very impressed with the end product. My second point is about this head. Now, we already know that it hurt my finger during the construction because of some of the sharp pieces on it, and you always kind of need to be a little bit careful of that. But I personally found getting all the tabs into their insertion holes, especially along the back of the head, was pretty difficult. Now, groove builders, if you bend all of your parts properly and of course follow all the seams, it will be a lot easier for you to be able to get your pieces where they need to go. Now, in my case, what I did was just make sure that I put my tabs as close as I possibly could to their insertion hole and then use my persuading tweezers to put them into their respected holes. This worked very well, and I use that method a lot when I'm building some of the more difficult models out there. Groovers, get yourself some tiny tweezers and you'll have a breeze with this model. For my third and final point, I want to talk about connecting everything together, and specifically the midsection here. It can be very difficult to get that piece, especially the tabs, to protrude out the back. Now, my suggestion is to go ahead and take the inner part of this and bend it outward so that when you go and put the C3PO, if you will, into his underwear, these tabs are pretty much scratching the inside of his underwear. That means when they get to the actual insertion holes, they'll pop through with some kind of force, allowing you to get as much of the tab as possible to secure. Now, before my model was wiggling and now he's not, and the reason for that is because I went back and tightened up those tabs. So groovers, it's very important to make sure your tabs are secure. If they're not, you'll have a very shaky C3PO. And with that being said, groove builders, let's move on to build time. C3PO here from Metal Earth took me just over 2 hours and 20 minutes to build, with the majority of that time being focused on the legs and of course the head. Now, groove builders, like I always say, it's never a race, and of course having the proper tools will make all of this a lot faster. If you don't have all the tools and you're just using tweezers, expect to take way longer than 2 hours and 20 minutes. And finally, groove builders, my thoughts. You know, groovers, I had a lot of fun building C3PO, way more than I was originally expecting. And to be totally honest, the reason why I put him off for so long was because after building Iron Man, I really just didn't care for building some of these figures. But now that I've built C3PO, I'm kind of mad that I didn't do it before. I mean, he really is a lot of fun to build, and sure, there are some challenging pieces, like the head here for instance, and I'm always going to point to the head when I say difficult pieces for C3PO. And of course, all of the cylindrical detail on the arms and legs can be very tricky too to form if you don't have the proper tools, which is pretty much my main thing. If you have the proper tools to build C3PO, you're gonna find this build very easy to do. And if you're new to metal model building and you're looking at maybe possibly picking up C3PO, I would say do it if you're patient and you're willing to try something that might be a little bit more difficult than your average metal model, especially beginner metal models. Now, groovers, if you're looking to modify C3PO, you might have a little bit of a hard time. I've seen some people out there put wires in this middle section, which look really good, but I actually tried to put magnets in the arms, and unfortunately this metal is not magnetic, so these arms don't move. I also tried to paint the center here, and that really didn't turn out well because the paint I used wasn't a spray paint and metal paint. Now, it doesn't look bad necessarily, but I definitely wanted to look a little bit better. So later on down the road, I might release a video of me painting some of my models and showing you guys how to do that at home yourself. And with that, groove builders, we're at the end of our show. I had a really good time celebrating our 60th episode with you, and if you guys had a good time, don't forget to press that like button. For more videos like this, hit subscribe as well, as we got all kinds of really cool content coming out in the future. Until next time, groove builders, keep building. Alright, C3PO, we're gonna hide you a little bit longer before R2 finds you, because I know once he does, I'm never gonna see you again.